Go forward. All right, good afternoon. I call to order this regular meeting of the Carrabelle Community Redevelopment Agency. It's Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, 1:30 p.m. We're conducting this meeting in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers. Commissioner Millender will open our meeting with a prayer, and then I will lead with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, again we come to you offering the thanks that you so much deserve for the many blessings that you bestow upon us on a daily basis. We're here again in our meeting hall to deliberate and work toward the betterment of the city of Carrabelle. We ask for your guidance and wisdom in our proceedings. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Millender. And thank you all for silencing your phones, and welcome to the meeting. First of all, we'll have roll call. Ms. Keisha.
Chase Chisholm.
Here.
Commissioner Walden.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Mayor LaPaz.
Here.
Commissioner Millender.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here. Okay. Then we'll move on to approval of the January 17th, 2023 CRA regular meeting minutes. And did everyone have a chance to review those minutes? Okay, do we have a motion entertaining that, whether to approve or disapprove?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, that motion is by Commissioner Brown, second by Ms. Chisholm. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, we're under the public comment section. This is where anyone from the public may speak out on an item regarding our community redevelopment agency and or district. Any item that pertains to that district that's not on the agenda. Okay, we have no public comment today. We'll move to staff reports, and we'll move to Courtney, who is our CRA Director.
All right, our Duke Energy repair of the communication wires in the Southeast Avenue B alleyway has been completed. Still looks like a mess back there, but it's a much more organized mess than it was, I guess. The Duke Energy EV charging stations, I spoke with Duke Energy last week, and the charging stations that they want to install will be a modern charging station that will charge your car within 15 to 20 minutes. Duke would own and maintain those for 10 years. After 10 years, you could renew or remove, or they would consider selling them to the city. What they need is 5 spots that they'll turn into 4 spots because they need to have so much room between them for handicap accessibility. The 2 sites that I provided them, one was the corner of Avenue C and Marine Street, and then the other one was at the fire station there at the Messer Pavilion. And they really like the Messer Pavilion, so our next step is to sign a host agreement, which they should be sending any time. Then they'll schedule a site visit. Then they'll have an equipment placement agreement. The timeline after all the paperwork, he said it moves fairly quickly and it could be ready in about a month. So once we get all the paperwork signed and they do the site visit, it'll move very quickly. So that's happening. We're going to move forward with that, and I'll keep y'all updated when we get the agreements.
Great.
Our natural resource fish display sign on Marine Street is complete. We had a CRA booth at our Carrabelle Culture Crawl. I don't have a total yet. Marina hasn't gotten. She'll get me a total. I'll let you guys know what that was.
And the display on that, excuse me, a moment, was provided, the actual
The
unit.
display board was provided by the History Museum, Ms. Tamara Allen, and then we just printed out the stuff to put on the back of the display. I sent a letter notifying the nonprofits, Carrabelle Cares and the History Museum and the Chamber of Commerce and the youth fishing tournament regarding the inability of the CRA to fund NPO events. That was done last month after the meeting. Our facade grant project at 111 Northeast Avenue B is complete. She just turned in her paperwork today, so we'll be getting that reimbursement out. I have had 2 applications submitted for the CRA District Landscape Maintenance position. We can take that up at the city commission meeting. If I don't get any more, we just have the 2. And then I have 1 volunteer who's requested to be a CRA board member.
How long did we advertise for the, board member?
For the board member, the deadline, it had a deadline. Was it the 3rd, I think?
I don't,
It had a deadline on the advertisement. And we met that deadline, I think. February 3rd was the deadline.
do you know when the advertisement went out? Was it for like 1 week or 2 weeks?
No, it was 2 weeks. We ran it for 2. Keisha, you have the dates?
I'm just asking because I had people that were interested, but it was too late and,
Do you want to rerun it?
since we only have one, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Okay, well, I mean, it would be the pleasure of the board, but, you know, it's neither here nor there to me. I would like to see, you know, residential represented for, you know, so I don't know the ones that you're interested in, but
I
I'm
didn't
just,
get into all their,
yeah.
still need a motion to rerun it.
Well, make a motion and let's see what the board wants to do.
I will make a motion that we rerun the advertisement, and have the letters due by, say, a week before the next CRA meeting. Would that be okay?
Well, we're gonna appoint the commission points.
So,
Next CRA meeting is in March. You wanted at least 3 weeks, a month.
so a week before the April
Okay.
commission meeting. So the letters would be due March 30th?
March 30th would be a week. Are we wanting to run it for a complete month? Okay.
Oh, but we
Is that
could
would
run
get
it
time
and
expensive.
share on Facebook like we all do.
Or what about every other, do 2 weeks but break it up?
That sounds perfect.
Is that okay, Keisha?
Yeah, I'm just looking, so we can run it on the 2nd and the 16th,
Perfect.
and then do the 30th. And that would be every other week.
Okay, so that's the motion. Rerun advertisement letter to be due, rerun the advertisement letter on the March 2nd, March 16th, to be due on March the 30th for the April commission meeting. Is that all right?
Perfect.
Now let's see what the, that motion is made by Commissioner Brown. What is there a second?
I'll second. Long time you second.
Well, I got Melander. Although I saw Chase with her mouth, but I heard Melander. So, is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries. Okay, so you have that then, Ms. Keisha?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. Courtney, anything else?
That's all I have.
Do y'all have questions for Ms. Courtney or comments? All right. Okay, then we'll move to the city attorney.
All right, the CRA attorney has, switching my hats around,
Uh-huh.
is, this is just an update. Is that, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it, Courtney's helping me. We've had dog title and now First American title, digging on the Veterans Park, title issue. Is, it appears on, as far as for the tax roll and everything else, it's still in the name of what looks like a American Legion post that is no longer in existence. It is not titled, they have not yet found a vesting deed in the city of Carrabelle, that the tax information is going to a Mr. Humble at 1529 Maxine Drive in Carrabelle. And they are, I've sent some follow-up email to them that they are going to basically give us a report back on just literally anything they find, even though that's already what we asked for, but they're going kind of above and beyond. And Linda, who's very good over at Dodd Title, is also digging into it. But that's, I just want to make everyone aware of that. You know, I know we've already made significant improvements to Veterans Park. We're talking about making a lot more. But it's obviously is the legal part, as well as for you guys, it's a little bit of concern that we're just struggling to get kind of clear title in the name of the city. And I will have options for us earlier than the next meeting probably, that we can go over, say, at the city meeting, because that's hopefully I'll have it by then, and you can authorize me to move ahead on what we need to do, whether it's simply getting a deed somehow from the party that may have an interest still in it, is this American Legion, or the worst case scenario is we have to file some sort of quiet title action.
And then listen carefully to Mr. Russell's report as well.
Yes.
Regarding that property. Okay.
So is Mr. Humble paying the property tax on it?
That is what it would look like. And I don't know.
I'm not sure they would have a tax.
Oh, right, because they're
Should be
not for
exempt,
profit.
yeah.
So he's getting the tax information.
I was
That's
just
who, he's their
gonna
point of
say, are we
contact.
gonna have to repay a whole bunch of money, but.
Correct. No, sorry. Yeah,
Interesting.
it is.
All right, anything else, sir?
That's it.
Okay, anything, commissioners?
And just for my clarity, there is a Mr. Humble that's paying taxes on that property?
The tax and the property appraiser's information, it's under an American Legion post 187 or something. And that was an American Legion that they had here in Carrabelle years ago.
I remember.
And John Hummel is the contact
Registered
information, the
He's
registered
the contact.
agent.
He was the commander back then.
Okay,
And there is no taxes being paid on it.
good, yeah, okay, just for my clarity.
Absolutely.
Because I know John Humble, and from the prior discussions, I understood that it was the old American Legion post, which I remember here years ago. Okay, thank you, John.
Good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, the CRA District Landscape and Maintenance Report. Do the commissioners have anything or any comments? Okay, I do. You know, Riverfront Festival, although it's the third weekend in April, that's gonna come up quicker than we realize. And I was down there with Courtney and Commissioner Melander on Saturday for 5 hours, and we pretty much stood in a pile of sand, and I don't want the vendors to have to do that. And then I was up and down Avenue B 2 or 3, 4 times, and the gutters are dirty, cigarette butts are everywhere. I mean, they're piled up with leaves and debris, and we need to get that needs to be cleaned up for the Riverfront Festival some way, somehow, the roadways, so that these vendors can come in and have a nice, clean place to put their booths, and that, you know, the tourists and visitors to that can have a nice place. I mean, that's the heart of the CRA district. So, that's what I have to say. Thank you. I wish I had realized it was like that. I should have gone down there and checked it before the Carrabelle Crawl. But I'll know I need to do that before festivals. Now, if y'all downtown business owners, just, let Courtney know that the roadways need to be cleaned up for these festivals. And in the specifications, it says once a month, so, anyway, that's all I have to say.
And just, not any depth of detail, but there's one other business owner that had contacted me about cleaning up some of the flower beds. And that's primarily right there around the intersection of 67 and 98. Just, not anything major, just a little bit of detailing and cleaning up.
And probably there where Miss Chase's place used to be, on that side, on Tallahassee, that probably needs to be straightened up because no one's there to
That's right.
spot it or to report the, yeah, okay. All right, then we'll move on to new business. Item 1, 2022-2023 building facade and site improvement grant application review for 403 Northwest 11th Street, discussion and possible action. So we all received in our packets from Miss Courtney. This is for Miss Hannah Oxendine. She's here today. Come to the podium and say your name. So just for the record, because it's being recorded, and we may have questions for you.
Hannah Oxendine.
Okay, and what do you plan on, although we've got it, tell us what you plan on doing.
Painting the trim and the outside of the house, and then replacing windows. And I believe he has on there cleaning off the roof, or he may or may not. He just said something to me about it, but.
Okay, I don't know if cleaning off the
Yeah, I
roof.
didn't see
Which,
it.
Yeah.
he said he was gonna do that, so I don't know if he put
Okay.
it in there or not.
And then you have 9 windows. Are all those windows being able to be seen from the street?
ma'am.
Okay. And replace your exterior trim around the windows and install a screen door at the top of the stairs and stain 3 sides of the house and the stairs on the front. Okay. Did we see a paint color, a stain color?
I had it on in, but she did give me these, but they were
Oh, that's-
scanned into. too.
Okay.
They don't show up as good on the scanned copy.
One of those are gonna be like stained or painted, however that's gonna be, and then actually I'm gonna do the trim in a black because of, my shutters are black, so.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. The windows, they can be replaced with those hurricane shut, they won't
Yes,
be.
they'll take those off and then they'll put the windows in and then them back on.
Okay,
That's how they'll
all right,
do
well, that trim, black trim will look good with those,
One of those.
those shutters like that, yeah. Okay. Do y'all have questions? Mr. Gray? Okay. Well, I just asked because you're in the contracting business, that's your.
Everything look good?
Okay. All right, and they're requesting approximately, it might run less, it might run a little bit over, but approximately $15,860. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion or questions to Ms. Hannah?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Melander to approve the Hannah Oxendine application at 403 Northwest 11th Street for a facade grant. Do we have any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries. And I want to say, I could probably go ahead and say now, I mentioned that it's got 120 days to be completed. Once you start the project, start within 30 days, completed then within 100. But I noticed that you have the same contractor to both of them. You've got the same contractor, Coastal Edge Salon has the same 2 contractors, and Alan Russell has the same. So
It's gonna
we'll,
be busy.
somebody's gonna be busy. Will somebody be, I don't know if it's gonna be the same contractor, I have no idea, but will we be able to complete these projects, all 3?
We should be.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You said thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, item 2, which is 2022-2023 building facade and site improvement grant application review for 201 Northwest 11th Street, discussion and possible action. And this is for the Coastal Edge Salon, and Miss Christina, if you'll come up and introduce yourself for the record and tell us about your project.
I am Christina Oxendine, and what we're looking to do is to replace some bad wood, and the front door is broken. And he has on here gable rake trim for better storm weathering, and we're gonna put Bahama styled shutters. And he has on here security lights on the roof, and Courtney, just because I caused confusion, thought that that was a security for like safe touch, but he said they're just floodlights.
Yeah, so I took off, I minused off $3,595 for security, but actually the $1,000 was for lighting, not for security.
Yeah,
I thought it was something to do with the safe touch.
I
part.
sent something in that was supposed to be a year ago when we did all this.
And I noticed that, I'm glad you're clearing it up. I did have a question.
It was, yes, and I'm like, my fault, sorry.
And a security system might qualify, I don't know, but it wasn't listed, it wasn't bid
Yeah,
on the
I mean,
bid.
we
and I
can
was
always
like,
do that later on our dollar, I mean. it's
But
not-
y'all wanna put 4 security
But
lights?
yeah, he said they're just floodlights, but they call them security lights.
Yeah,
So actually, her total project cost would be the $19,900, and they would be requesting $16,000.
Okay.
Right, and he's also talking about rebuilding our, front entrance porch and the handicap.
And then they're looking at these colors
And then,
here.
yeah, the lighter, something airy.
that'll go with a couple of other buildings that are
I
downtown.
know, I'm trying to go.
No, but it, I
was
think
trying
it
not
is
to
Fifty
match
Shades of
everybody.
Blue.
Yeah,
It's peachy.
yes, it is. Okay, do y'all have questions for Miss Christina? Any questions? All right, do we want to entertain a motion on approve or disapprove?
I'll motion.
Okay, Mr. Bray, you're gonna motion for what? Approve, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Ms. Chisholm to approve this facade site improvement grant for 201 Northwest 11th Street. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right,
Thank you.
30 days, then 120.
Kids work.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Mr. Russell. All right, item 3, 2022-2023 building facade and site improvement grant application review for 210 Marine Street. Discussion and possible action. So say your name and what you want to do this time.
Alan Russell, we are going to do that awning and we're gonna cantilever it. So-
Cantilever?
So we redesigned it so that we can do it and actually doing the bracing into the roofing, so it won't be anything down the ground. So I think we got it figured out pretty good.
Okay. And all of this description, okay, it says you're gonna paint all permanent awning and framing, okay, but all of this other description is what you're gonna use to install that awning.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll paint it and put the tin on it.
And the paint color is just black.
Yeah, just-
Okay. And then a white tin or
it'll be like a gabion.
Okay.
Original, what it was back in 34.
all right, that'd be nice, okay, very good. And you'll be able to get her done in 120 days after
We should.
you get started? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call the guys until I get approval. I kept calling them before, so as soon as I find out, we're gonna get them on it.
Okay, all right. And he's requesting, let me see what I have on the little project sheet here, about $15,908 to do that project.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have that motion by Commissioner Melander. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Vote for approve.
Okay, second by Commissioner, motion to approve by Commissioner Melander. Second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. All right. We'll be watching for these projects. They're making the city district look wonderful.
I agree, but I have a question
Okay.
to the court. On our budgeted amount of grants for this year, how are we doing, or?
We have one full grant left after these are approved, and then we'll have a partial, it won't be for the whole 16,000, it'll be a little bit extra. If something came in at 5 or some, portion of that.
So we'll have one full grant left after today.
And then as the year goes by, we can always take another look. Don't want to go too late because I got to get it done before the end of the year, but say June, we can take a look and see if there's funding available that we could put together something else. If someone requests even. All right then, also to keep from carrying forward money, which is
And I
no.
already have one scheduled for next month that's already came in.
Okay.
Well, I thought after Saturday
We probably will get some
Yeah.
more.
but that's great, because we see an
Got the
improvement.
buzz going.
Okay, old business. We have none, so we'll move on to Inovia Consulting Group. And he does, Mr. Russell does have some items to report on here. And as well, let's see, your Marine Street revitalization project, give us a progress report on that, sir.
Okay, Marine Street revitalization, DEO has issued the authority to use grant funds. So that has been issued. They had some questions. We're coordinating with Fox Enterprises to answer those questions. And they will approve the plans and specifications, and then we'll be ready to advertise. So I would anticipate that we would advertise for bids in March.
All right, do we have questions regarding that?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, then once you advertise, then maybe project can start probably 6 weeks, 2 months later or something?
Yeah, I would say that. Give enough time to receive bids, review the bids, and award the contract.
All right, and that's the nature of the CDBG grants. They take 3 years. So, all right then, the next regular item on the agenda is the discussion of, excuse me, let me find where I am. Progress of the military service flagpole memorial at Veterans Park.
Okay, we have executed the contract with the contractor, gave them the notice to proceed. The contractor has ordered materials, and he anticipates to begin demo within 2 weeks. He's trying to finish up another job so he can have his crews here, but he has ordered the materials. There's some lead time for some of those items, like the lighting in particular. So that project will be started within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so I have two questions then, or comments. One is what Mr. Dan said. How does this work? You heard Mr. Russell say within 2 weeks, right?
Right.
So how does this work with the deed title search?
I think as a purely legal matter, obviously I have concerns, right? Because we're moving ahead on a piece of property that we have concerns about clear title to. As a legal / practical matter, we've already invested a lot of money in that property. We've already exerted essentially our possession of that property for decades. I mean, it's been, how long has it been? I remember when they did the original park. That's closing on 15, 18 years ago. At least, right? And then before that, what was there?
The fountain got put there.
Fountain got put there, yeah. So
Well, Mr. Buzz
so-
Putnam put the fountain there, so that
Yeah.
was in the 90s.
Yeah.
normally in a situation like this, I can't think who has a superior interest in that property to us. It's just our interest isn't clear. That's the thing. So you're asking me for clear answers. I have none. Right. I don't have a crystal clear answer, but I'm going to stay on this. And again, I don't have great concern that at all. I haven't seen anything. No one's indicated from the title companies to to anybody that, again, says, we own it, and we don't want you to make these improvements, we don't want, you know, this going on. So the only entity that's popped up here is the American Legion, and it's a defunct branch, but obviously this is lined up with what they would want out there as well. And I'm making assumptions here, but that's certainly what the American Legion in part does, is memorialize service members. So I can't tell you there's no risk, but it's low.
Should we move forward as planned?
Help me, Russell.
Would this
I'll try to
Dan,
help.
would this be eminent domain?
Exactly. There's a number of legal theories. If someone popped up that said, oh, I own this property, a private individual, right, would be the only one that I'd worry about. Someone saying, hey, I had plans to build a house there, or this, that. I mean, it doesn't meet any of the law. That's another reason, right? It doesn't, you couldn't build something on that, the setbacks, whatever. It's just a oddly shaped little piece of property between rights of way and everything else. So use of it, I don't know what you'd use it for other than a public, you know, park type property. But if some member of the public did come forward, they would have a big time uphill battle, a private owner, because we can take property by what they call prescription, and we have exerted control over that for 20 plus years. And open, notorious, they have all these buzzwords, but open, notorious manner. No one driving by there looks at that and thinks, oh, that's private property. It's kind of the city clock, the fountain, the memorial park that's been there, you know, all this. So again, I can't say no risk because we hate to say that, but it's simply a matter of cleaning up title more than getting it.
Well, and there has been an extensive title search done to date.
There has.
And it's still in progress
It is.
somewhat. So there's no other, like you said, person who would come forward. There's, that you.
Exactly, they've identified
Yeah.
nobody other than the Legion.
Yeah, my comment is, and speak for myself, by what the attorney has spoken and the history that I know about the Veterans Park area, history meaning what all has transpired there over the years and what has been, I'm comfortable moving forward with our project. Hold it up, that's my opinion.
What about everyone else?
I agree with you.
Okay, and Mr. Gray?
I agree.
Okay, now, earlier, some months ago, Commissioner Brown requested to have groundbreaking. Are you still interested in that? We've done a couple of groundbreakings, 3 that I know of. Keith was around for maybe all 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, 2 of them, the
Yeah.
city hall and the one at,
Yeah, do we want to do that? When would you suggest to have a groundbreaking, Mr. Russell?
That's great. Could we do it, say in a month's time? That will give the contractor time to be there and set up for it.
Mhm. Can we schedule this at our March meeting? Is there some way
I
we
think
can
that'd
do
be-
that, Ms. Courtney, or schedule it under Russell's report during the March meeting, March 2nd? Is that all right to do that? And that to give us time to kind of get our schedules together and see what your contractor's looking like?
Yes,
Okay.
that sounds good.
All right, so schedule it. I think our March commission meeting is gonna be full. Seems like it. So, is that all right then?
Yes.
Okay, and it seemed like you had something else.
Well, I did have the Avenue C and the Rhine Drive to
Yes.
update you on if you're ready for that. Okay.
Yes.
So, at the last meeting, Commissioner Millender actually brought up an issue that I took some time to think about. He's concerned about the migration of the aggregate. So, we have used a product before, and Courtney, if you have that email I sent to you earlier. It should say Avenue C, parking, yeah.
You have a moment.
Yeah, you're right, okay, that one, let's go with, the next one. Basically what this is it's a aggregate containment system. So it's like a cell, a grid, that has some depth to it, about 2 inches. And so the rock will actually fill in those cells, and that prevents it from migrating, and it also provides additional strength. And this is new, I haven't seen this before, but in some of those cells, they have a yellow marker that you can place in the cell, and then that can define the space. So we wouldn't need the use of timber. And I thought that was a pretty slick idea. And I think this is just the application for it. So we did look into the cost. Without that system, I think we're looking at a construction cost in the $150,000 range. Adding those containment cells, I think will be in the $225,000 range. So it does add to the cost. But at the end of the day, I think you'd have a better product. You'd have a better project. And we've used these before in a low water crossing. It supports heavy vehicles. And I think it's a good idea. But again, it does increase the budget, so that's a consideration for the board.
Do you think it'll be less maintenance in the future?
I do, yes.
Panner uses that for their parking lot over there, and it seems like it holds up well. They don't have the little yellow markers, but they've got curb stops. Now, this is funded originally, well, it is through boat ramp fees. We certainly don't have that much, even 150 in the boat ramp fee account. So it's under the commission jurisdiction, and we would, most likely make any major decisions, as sitting as a commission. Right now, as of January the 12th, we had $70,000 in the boat ramp fee account. If we, I want to go ahead and move forward with all your design and everything that's happening right now, but we might see in a month or 2 or 3 that we've got funding in the CRA, and the CRA can leverage with this, but we don't have funding in the general fund to take that on at this time. I'll just go ahead and advise y'all. Okay.
I'd assume that right off the bat.
Yeah. So we'll just
Okay.
move forward with
Okay.
what you have right now, and then, but this is a good idea. I like it. I've always liked what I've seen over at Anna. Looks like it works out real well. Okay.
Okay.
And then your Ryan Drive improvements, which this is funded through the American Rescue Plan. And this would be under the commission jurisdiction as well. But go ahead and tell us about it, since they're.
Okay, sure. So at Ryan Drive, we are proceeding with the design, and I sent an email on that also, Courtney. It would have been recently, since the meeting started.
Today?
Yeah. But we have developed the drainage system layout there, and we're working through the drainage analysis. There are 2 easements that are required, and one is over the James and Maxine Cobb property. There's a triangular piece of property, and I'll point to it. That's that parcel right here. So what's shown in the cyan color would be the drainage system that comes down, connects to that existing cross drain. We set a manhole here, and that is on the Oxidine property. So we need an easement to do that work, across their property, and then to the James Cobb property. And this property is DOT. We don't get a permit for that work. to be done on the DOT property. So we'll coordinate those easement documents with the attorney. Since y'all are here, do you have any questions there?
Is there already a manhole there?
There's not. There's a pipe end.
Okay, I knew somebody had dug right there, and I didn't know if they found anything. I know that they said that the pipe that was there had a tire in it.
Yes, and a tire and debris
But wow.
blocking it.
But that was just the pipe coming under the road, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So we need to build that drainage system to get it to the river.
When do you think that they'll start doing that?
I think we'll be ready to put this out for bid in about 45 days. So I would say 2 to 3 months.
Okay, so that won't affect anything we're fixing to do?
It may, because we will have to construct a pipe across your driveway.
Oh, but I mean for the, for our facade?
Oh, no.
Any landscaping?
No, it would not.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Right.
And that's funded, this is under the commission jurisdiction as well, and that's funded under the American Rescue Plan. I'm looking to see if I've got that budget with me. But I believe we funded only $100,000 for stormwater. But we'll have to, see if we can find it. We'll need to know, see if we can figure out where the money's coming from. If that doesn't work out, get some more money from the reallocating the American Rescue Plan, something like that. We'll have to do that on the commission side.
We did it all under one stormwater drainage management, and we just have one budget line item.
Right, for 100.
200.
Oh, 200, okay, well, you better not call me.
But that was, that says citywide. Yeah, that says citywide, so all of them were lumped on.
That's fine. Okay.
It's good to know what the budget is.
Yes, it is. Very good. Thank you, Keisha, for looking that up. Okay. All right. Do y'all have any further questions then for Mr. Russell?
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much. And on these items, if we need to, take them up again, we'll take them up under the city commission. All right, so then we'll just move on to the CRA board projects, and the first item is discussion and possible action regarding CRA 2022-2023 expense to budget report. And did they get, Ms. Oh, you got your,
I said the one that you did. They all
Okay.
got Miranda's back on the line.
okay, so it pretty much says the same thing, it's just not as detailed. But right now, we haven't received our tax increment from the county or the city. The city pays into it once the county does, but we know exactly what those payments are going to be. If you have the budget, it's on the budget. Right now, we're doing pretty good. We haven't really spent. We've got 86% of our budget remaining. But of course, we haven't received our tax increment, but we know we'll be getting that. We've got 86% of our budget remaining, and as y'all asked about the facade grants, it was budgeted at $80,000, and we've spent about 53 so far with those three we just granted. So what we were mostly looking for here, I got from Keisha the exact amount that was carried forward. We budgeted $221,933 was an estimate that we were going to carry forward. And last week, Ms. Keisha gave me the $263,927, and that was the number I was waiting on to do the expense to budget. So we would know if we can budget one of the next items that's coming up, which would be the geotechnical survey of Barefoot Lane. So right now, as budgeted, we've got $41,994 additional, other than what we've budgeted. But we have spent very little of our budget so far. Nothing on maintenance and repair, very little. travel, but that was paying off what we traveled for on our last conference last year. Errors and emissions insurance, that's every year. Other charges and obligations, I haven't had a chance to speak with Miranda what that is. It's $3,000. I don't know what. Consulting, $3,600. I'm just calling out the big ones. Christmas decorations already done, $2,500. So, you know, and then our facade grants. And we've got 4. We have paid none out. We're about to pay 1 out, just under $7,000. And then these other 3 that we just approved. So, like I say, we've got our projects. We just haven't started on any of them. The Mariners Memorial, repair fencing at Sands Park. Maybe we've got $25,000. Maybe we should go ahead and get a budget for that.
We need to do that.
Excuse me, a quote for that. To repair the fencing at Sands Park. I know that Chester's knows he's got to do his Mariners Memorial. I think it sounded like to me he was getting a lot of that donated, a lot of that work. We're working on the flagpole thing here to start out. The Public Works building, we didn't allocate anything because that's what we put 100 to, I believe, in the American Rescue Plan. And we've done our pole mounted decorations. So street lines, signs, and lot cleanup, we've got $25,000 there that we have not done anything. And maintenance and repair, we've got $24,757 left. So, and then 41,000, basically 42,000 unanticipated from what we carried forward. Okay? All right. So we'll start working. Is that okay? Do we want to direct Courtney to start working on the Sands Park fencing?
Yes,
Okay.
most definitely, far along as we progressed already in the budget.
I had a request from a resident that I spoke to Courtney about. For elderly people, and I've had several that want to start walking around Sands Park, one in particular requested that we get at least one more bench so that there's one on each side of that pond. Right now we have that cement picnic table, so if they need to sit down and take a rest, you know, they can sit there, and they just requested one more on the opposite side. And Courtney sent me, you know.
I think the request was, when are you putting the benches back?
Yeah.
And me and Keisha both said, we don't have benches down there. So, yeah, we never did have benches down, except for the one that has the table.
Right. But the benches are a little pricey. Were
Terrible,
they like $800
yes.
or $900?
They were about $800 or $900 each.
Everything's pricey.
Yeah, and that's that plastic coated
Yeah.
bench, you know.
Like we have out front here.
Those picnic tables that we put out under the pavilion some years ago, but they're worth it. They've really held up. We had to chain them down so they wouldn't take off. I think they were like $4,000 or $5,000 each. It's crazy. But, all right, well, let's direct, someone motion to direct Courtney to proceed with procuring a quote for the fencing, and if there's money left over in that, then maybe we can buy a bench.
And I was just gonna say, we got that one out front donated by the Department of Health because it says quit smoking on it, so you might wanna look into that.
Okay.
They may give us another one to put at our public park, as a grant. It was free because of, the slogan on it.
Well, that would be
That's
good.
fine.
And some of the Florida parks have outlawed smoking in any of their parks. Some of the cities and counties no longer allow smoking in their parks.
So that might be worth looking into.
Okay.
That would be
Thank
good.
you.
Are you gonna do that?
I'll do it.
Very good. Thank you. All right, so we want to direct Courtney to get a quote for the Sands Park fencing. Can we have a
I'll make
motion?
the motion.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll say it.
Okay. All right, we have that motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion?
What I'll do is I'll get a quote to have the fence replaced, and then I'll get one for just the materials. If we hire an employee and they get an inmate, they can probably put that up within a couple of days. which would save a lot of money.
Yes.
We'll look at it both ways and see.
Okay.
I know
Very
that
good.
they've tried to repair, it's been repaired and repaired and repaired, I think it needs a new.
It's bad.
And that would go good with the upgrades that we did last year to, you know, to
Now, are
do the
we talking
repairs.
about a galvanized fence or the coated wire? I know that the coated
If
wire.
y'all have a preference, it doesn't,
We talked about it.
I don't know.
That
cost.
coated would be a lot more expensive. but-
Oh, you mean like chain
Like you
link
got
coated?
it at Tilly Miller. yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that the white?
You know, that was at Tilly Miller,
Black.
black, but
it's nice.
it looks nice. Now, the galvanized will last for years, but it's cheaper. But-
Is that, were we looking for chain link style fencing?
Oh, I don't know if we
I don't
ever
know
discussed
either.
that, have we?
we have it, I was gonna go back to
What
what, or
we
something
had.
similar to what we have, but if y'all have a preference, then.
Well, that down there hadn't held up very good.
Been there for 13 years.
Yeah, but when the kids start crawling
It
up
was
on it.
probably bad 5 years ago though.
Oh, it was bad when I was on Public Works down there working, patching it.
If y'all want chain link, we can look.
That's up to the board. I mean, I'm just one person.
Can you get a quote on both?
I can.
Yeah, just my opinion
Yeah,
is the same with Commissioner Walden. The coated chain link is gonna be much more durable, and I was waiting on that to come up, because what we have down there is not that. It's not chain link at all.
It's no
But,
limit on
and
this
it's very attractive, but it's not near as durable as that
Yeah.
coated chain link.
Now, we put 6-foot fencing, is it 6 foot or higher, at Tilly Miller to keep the Tasmanian devils out. And we don't have that infestation down at Sands Park, so.
We could
Uh,
go forward.
That's to keep,
Beavers don't climb the fence.
well, they don't, but that's to keep, Sands Park is like to keep dogs out and children in.
yes.
So I think a 5 foot would be
5 would be
sufficient
just
there.
right.
I think it's only about 4 now.
But they come in 5
Yeah,
foot.
They come in 4, 5,
4,
or
5.
6.
5 would be perfect.
Okay, Mr. Keith says
There
5.
ain't too many kids.
They come in different gauges too, like thickness of the metal, and they can still be coated, but
I know the one that we did at Tilly Miller was a commercial grade. And it-
Right.
Oh, it's a lot thicker, yeah. When we talk about having to work within a budget here, but maybe we probably could go with that.
We had a FERDAP grant.
Yeah, that would be grand, yeah.
All right, so, okay,
How much do
any,
I have in there?
huh?
How much is in there?
20, 25?
Yeah,
That'd be pushing it,
Yeah.
if you could hire it out. Now, if we do it ourselves, you can save a lot of money. It's just up to what the price is
Yeah.
when we get it.
All right, we're gonna get some quotes.
okay, and any further discussion then? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, then, this one I'll turn over to Courtney. Item 2, clean the overgrowth and debris from Marine Street bioretention, including the baffle box at the boat ramp parking lot area and from inside large baffle box at Marine Street restroom area. Approve, disapprove, and then we'll let you.
We reached
report.
out to the water management district and he said he had used some guys to clean out the baffle boxes that they have over at East Point. And he gave us a couple of companies and Dustin reached out to them and we have a company out of Panama City, Hall, is coming down to take a look at it and give us an estimate. They were supposed to have come and that was the week it rained, so they canceled and postponed it, so they haven't got us a quote yet.
And so you wanna, we'll carry this item over to
We'll
next,
carry it over.
okay. All right, okay, then and that would be done under our maintenance and repair, which we've got, just under 25,000 in there. Then, item 3, discussion of possible action regarding repairs and upgrades to the clock tower at Veterans Park, and the quote is $6,190. So what we were gonna do here, and actually, we're gonna have to go back maybe to Russell, because we asked last month, I'm gonna go back to Russell if y'all don't mind. Last month, we asked about getting a quote possibly to do the work on the water system there, the inbound water system, and try to get everything on one water meter, so there weren't so many valves and,
You know, the irrigation system
That's
in
right.
Veterans
Yes.
Park, yeah,
uh-huh.
to upgrade it to
Well, with our new project, we do have a new irrigation system that's going in. So, and maybe we need to look at that a little closer so that I understand what's not currently working, may get fixed with what they're gonna replace it with. But if that's not the case, then I think we'll need to look
I
closer.
think you need- Dusty would probably be the person to talk about it on that, because he knows more about it than any
And
of
he
us.
said no one else touch it.
He's already told me to leave it alone, so. So, if you got any questions, ask Dusty.
Okay.
Okay, and we've got $90,000 on the American Rescue Plan. We budgeted some money for Veterans Park, 24-3 or something like that. And okay, so I'm gonna tell you what the budget is. The flagpole memorial, the CRA has $90,000.
We got 25,300.
Okay. Somebody calculate that for me. So plus 90,000.
115,300.
So that's what we have, 115.3. So what we had talked about last month was to see if we can get the water fixed, however it needs to be. And then we would, if there was money left, we would repair the clock tower at Veterans Park, and the quote was $6,190.
So we're just gonna hold off on that one till we.
If that's all right, can we do that?
Sounds
Do y'all mind? So we have 115,300. To do the project, and I think you came in at 103 before we started adding water works.
That's right.
Okay. We might have enough money, y'all, to do
We
it
have
all.
some extra, and it's not
Mhm.
a crazy amount of money.
Okay, so we'll move to item 4. Is that all right with y'all? Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding proceeding with the geotechnical investigative radar at 4 locations for road repairs on Gray Avenue. And this is between a very short spot, like barely 2 blocks, between Barefoot Lane and Northeast 12th Street. The quote was $26,000 that Mr. Russell got for us. I don't know if it's gone up or not. Now we know by looking at our budget that we won't be able to do those repairs, but we could go ahead and find out what is wrong with it. I know over on 5th Street, Southeast 5th Street, in front of Sands, back in Sands condos in 2015, we had kind of a sinkhole looking thing, and it was a karst. Was that what it's called?
Karst feature. Yeah.
Sinkhole, and they never located the bottom, but they fixed it, so it'd be okay for us for now. So, we're driving over it.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. And so we can, if y'all want to move ahead, we've got the funding to do that. We've got 41,994, maybe we can do it and then get some kind of a scope of work and figure out what that's going to cost and do that in the next budget year. But as I was listening to Dan read the resolutions for the New River Landing, I thought today that maybe, we can go start doing the preliminary, but maybe we shouldn't do those repairs until the contractors are finished over
That'd
there.
probably be a good idea, be some heavy loads.
And maybe they'll just go ahead and find the bottom for us.
Fill it in.
Then they can fill it in.
There's gonna be some heavy loads coming out.
Yeah, and so let's go ahead and do the preliminary, see what that's my suggestion. See what it entails, what the scope of work is gonna be once you get the geo done. And then make our preparations to repair that after they finish their construction work over there.
That sounds good.
That's
We
smart.
need a motion to get started on
Yeah.
this?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the geotechnical on Gray Avenue in the 4 locations.
Boy, I think $26,000 to test those 4 spots.
I know, geotechnical work surprises me every time.
Excuse me?
Geotechnical work surprises me every time. And, you know, I've asked about it, and, you know, they tell me they have all this equipment that they have to maintain, you know, the field crews, and it's just expensive.
And when they did Fifth Street, they went down, I don't know, it was something like 90 or 75 feet, we authorized to go so far at this certain amount of money, and they hadn't reached the bottom, and so they came back, well, you're gonna need more money, CRA funded. And, no, it was not CRA funded, how did we fund that?
Was it CARES, was it?
Log.
Log, okay.
Mhm. Sure was, log. And so they came back and wanted more money. I can't remember how much to go, another 20 or 30 feet, something like that. It was not cheap. So,
That, I think what they'll find, and that's just a layman, I'm not a geotechnical specialist, but Commissioner Walden and I, anyway, this entire area is a peat bog over there. And that school site that we were talking about, that we own and so forth, when they built that building, he and I were around, but anyway, they drove pilings, like you see houses built on. They drove pilings underneath that foundation that were 100 foot long. And they said that they never gained really any good compaction. It was nothing but just peat that they drove it into. It'll tell you. And that entire area is just a big peat area, and I'm afraid that's what it's gonna do.
It's dried out a lot for years.
Yes, it has. But the peat's still there.
It's still there.
all right, we have we've got a motion here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I had a reply to, but I'll reply to that later. Okay, after the meeting. But anyway, motion to proceed with the geotechnical survey on Gray Avenue by Commissioner Brown. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and that's by Ms. Chisholm. And is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. That was aye.
Okay.
Troublemaker.
Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. All right. Yes, sir.
Mayor, just real quick, the point of doing it this way is they'll be able to identify exactly where the issue is, and then they can do a grout injection right there to solve it, as opposed to saw cutting the road out and digging a hole and rebuilding the road. So at the end of the day, you are, you know, you're spending a little more up front, but I think you'll end up saving money on the back end.
I have a question. Okay, is the grout injection included in this 26?
It's not.
Okay.
This is just investigative.
Right.
Investigative.
They'll generate a report describing exactly what they're gonna do to fix it. And then that'll be implemented later.
All right, is anything else on this one, this item then? Okay, so then that's the Veterans Park on the water, inbound water issue, the whole park, okay. All right, then, other items brought forward by CRA board members, do we have any other items? We did get a request for a bench, and are there any other items? Okay, just mention our next meeting is March 21st, 2023. And so if we have nothing else, Courtney, you have anything? Ms. Keisha? All right then, we're adjourned.